Please
guys.
welcome to the stage,
Hi.
Matt Ryan.
How you all doing? Guys, why don't you all jump into the middle here?
Come to the center.
Yeah, why not,
Yeah,
right?
let's get cozy.
Do you know what the greatest thing about these chairs are? So I remember when I was working on many sets, and they normally have like the tall chairs when you're like working on a TV show and stuff, and then you have your chair with your name on it and all that stuff, which is kind of cool. But for Legends of Tomorrow, I think it was Katie Lott or someone, I don't know, she's awesome, but she had them make the smaller ones. So we all had like the smaller chairs, like a little bit like less, but these are cool ones, huh?
Did she have a tall chair? And then everybody else's was shorter
No,
to establish dominance?
No, that's
okay.
not me, no.
That's a missed opportunity, I'd say.
That could have been,
The thing that I don't like about these chairs is I feel like a small child.
Yeah, I like that. Some of them have got like little footrests on them.
Yeah, that's nice.
That's so you can hook your feet under there.
Unfortunately, these, they just dangle.
Yeah. You like this, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, like a little kid. Well, welcome to Cleveland. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Have you been able to go out into the city and see anything?
I've been going out a little bit, and there's a lot of stuff going on outside. Right, there's all the food trucks. There's and I think I've talked to a couple of you guys about it. Like there's airplanes flying around. I was like, what's happening?
Fireworks
oh my God,
every
wow.
30 seconds.
Why are there military jets everywhere? But it's really cool. Really cool, yeah.
I felt like we were in an active war zone last night because there were so many fireworks downtown. I was like, oh no, we're getting hit. But it ended up being okay. Now there's a 9 Inch Nails concert outside.
There is the 9 Inch Nails concert. Is anyone go to the 9 Inch Nails concert?
Just me? That's crazy. Well, I guess there's more space for me. They have an important thing, which is this.
Yeah,
right
exactly. Now, and what, like, I think I've been to Cleveland 3 times before. Might have just been 2. Could possibly be 1. But yeah, it's a great city, and everyone's always lovely when I come here. So thanks for having me.
So, did any of y'all go to Cocktails with Constantine last night?
You guys did.
There
we had fun,
go.
right? And Kim did. We had fun. We had a good laugh.
It was a good time?
Yeah.
I always have to miss it because it's during the cosplay competition, and I host it. So every time I pass the door, I'm like, what could be going on in there?
Do you know what's
the
great
occult.
about it? Yeah, exactly. Like, come, we're going to do some magic.
What happens during
No, do you know what? It's just like a setting where you can kind of like sit around and like talk intimately with people, and like, when you're at the table, there's only a certain amount of time or what have you, but like in that setting, you can kind of, I like to be myself. Well, obviously, can't be anyone else really. But it's just nice to be able to kind of like sit down and shoot the shit with people.
Yeah, I agree. Well, speaking of, we have someone waiting here for
you have a question?
Please introduce yourself and ask your question.
Hi, my name's Hayden, huge Constantine fan. He's my favorite DC character. I just want to ask, what is your favorite thing about John Constantine, the character himself?
I would say like a sense of humor in the face of darkness. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think there's one panel in the comics, or one part of the comics somewhere in my mind, where, I think he's like on his way back, being pulled back up to this realm after being in hell, and on the way back up, he's like, boo, to the devil. That's funny. And like one of my favorite runs is Dangerous Habits. It's one of the first ones that I read. David Goyer and Daniel Cerrone give me that one when I got the job and said, read it. There's a great scene where John tricks Lucifer Morningstar into drinking holy water because he puts a spell on the pool, which is holy water, and makes him think it's beer. And then he smashes it across his face. And like that, there are repercussions for, tricking the devil. Do you know what I mean? But John does it anyway, and I love his kind of, his sense of humor in the face of darkness. Yeah, I would say.
Great question. Thank you.
Yeah, really cool.
One of my questions for you was, why do you think John Constantine resonates with fans so much? Is it because of that like devil may care personality? What do you think it is?
I think that like, in this superhero world, why we love superheroes so much is because all of us want to be a little bit special, I think we all feel like there's something, we all want to be special. Great song, Creep by Radiohead, Wish I Was Special. But I think that what resonates for me is like he's a blue-collar, working-class human being. And in a bunch of the comic books, he always takes the mickey out of the guys, the superheroes in tights. He's like one of us, and he also runs away from his problems. He ends up having to face them because he can't get away from them. And that's what we do a lot of the time, right? Like, he's not always courageous. Yeah, and he runs away, and then he has to face up. And a lot of superheroes, they're courageous by nature, and he's not. And I think that resonates with me, certainly. Like, he's a human being, like he's a blue collar working class guy who's just like any of us, and he's just got all this knowledge of the occult and has learned how to use it. So I think that's what resonates more. And he's probably my favorite superhero character. Or anti-hero character in the whole kind of like canon of all superheroes because of that. Because he feels like people I knew growing up, Yeah.
It is so relatable because you can't really relate to Superman, in my opinion. How do you
No.
relate to him?
Yeah,
He's
exactly, right?
perfect,
Yeah.
and I think John Constantine is flawed, but also still courageous, when
Yeah.
it comes down to it, when it matters.
That's
I
right.
would
Yeah,
say.
when it matters, right?
Yeah.
And like, look, he'll sacrifice his best friend to be able to save the room, but he's also not afraid of doing the hard things to get something done, even if that means sacrificing a part of himself, Yeah. And that's courageous.
Yeah, I agree. So, with the role of Constantine, were you familiar with him as a character beforehand? How did it come about you getting this role? Did you hear about it in the audition about him as a character? How did this go for you?
I was doing a play. I was doing Henry V in London. I had long hair and a big beard, playing a Welsh warrior, and I got the audition. I met with the casting director, and they filmed it, and they sent it off to LA, and they really liked me, but they couldn't see. I think that some of the higher ups couldn't see past the hair and the beard. So they were like, can you cut your hair? I was like, I'm in the middle of doing a play. I can't really do that. And I did a bunch of different tapes, different auditions for them and sent them off. And eventually, I think it was like 6 weeks, the play ended. And luckily, they hadn't cast the role. And I think they saw like 400 people. And they hadn't cast the role. So I was like, okay. So I flew over to Los Angeles. I went to the rap party, got extremely drunk, flew over to Los Angeles, chopped my hair off, shaved my beard, and then went into the testing process and eventually got it. So it was a long, long, long process. But I think when I read the script, I knew a bit about Constantine. I knew that the Keanu Reeves movie, which I loved. And then I started reading the comics. I was like, oh, that's slightly different to the Keanu Reeves movie, just in terms of him being British and certain kind of things like that. But it was a long process, but eventually I ended up getting the role, and thank God that nobody else did, because I really enjoyed playing it.
Yeah, I'm glad they looked for 400. They just couldn't find you in those sea of faces, is what it was. Once they found you,
a lot of it has to do with David S. Goya, who is a wonderful human being and creative, and has done a bunch of shows that we all love. He was one of the writers on producer of Batman Begins and the Foundation now, which is on, and that's awesome. And Daniel Cerrone, those two guys, I think, really fought for me. And I'm the director, Neil Marshall. So it's all gratitude to them, really.
Well, gratitude to you as well. You did a great job.
Great. I'll take it.
Hi there.
Hi.
If you want, you can either grab the mic off the stand.
Hi,
no
this
worries.
is Angelica speaking. I want to know your biggest role models in the acting industry and what you've learned from them, and what's the knowledge that you learned from them that you like to pass on to future actors.
Role models. So a bunch. I've done a lot of theater, right? So the first 10, 15 years of my career was mostly theater. And I think that learning and being around a bunch of those theater actors really kind of taught me a lot. And there's a lot of people that you guys wouldn't know. There's a wonderful actor called Jeffrey Freshwater. He's done every single Shakespeare play probably about 4 times, playing all the different characters. I've worked with him twice, maybe 3 times. I don't know. It all gets fuzzy. But he's the most wonderful human being and the most experienced actor. And I learned so much of him. In terms of television, movies, and things like that. In terms of the actors that I always admired, you know, you can always learn things by watching them and listening to their interviews and things like that. Like, my heroes were like Daniel Day-Lewis and Al Pacino and Robert De Niro and, you know, Marlon Brando, obviously, and, you know, people like Willem Dafoe, you know, like these really interesting, amazing actors. But I worked with Jude Law twice. We did Hamlet together in 2009, and we did 200 performances back to back, 8 times a week. I learned so much of that man. He's not only a movie star, but he's also a wonderful human being, but he's an actor's actor. He's the real deal. You know, he's, you know, a movie star, so you might think, well, you know, he's not just there because of how he looks or anything. I learned so much of him, and we worked twice together, and I feel really privileged to have done that. And also, I worked with Forrest Whitaker when I first did my first TV show in America. And I wanted, the reason why I did that TV show, because at that time, we just finished doing Hamlet, which we did in New York on Broadway, and I went to LA, and I got offered that job with Forrest, and then it's a very strange thing, Hollywood, because then I got offered a bunch of other jobs just because I got offered that one. You know, when people didn't even know me, I was like, what? And the reason I did that TV show was because of him, because Jude had just done a movie with him, and Jude had told me about him, and I was like, the question that you asked is interesting, because for me, like, who can you learn off? Who can you be around where you can grow? You know, and for me, like, being around Forrest, watching how he works, standing toe to toe with him, you know, like, that's the biggest experience you can have in your life, you know. Yeah. So I feel really blessed and grateful that I've had all of those wonderful actors that I've done so many plays with over the years, you know, and then some of the movie star people who I've worked with as well that have kind of like shown me a way of doing things. And I think that the major thing it all comes down to is, you know, doing the work. It's not about anything else, it's about the work. And that's one thing that, you know, I would say to any actor is serve the story. It's not about your ego. It's about this thing. It's not about you. It's about that, yeah. You know, it's not, oh, my character would do this or not. No, what does this need for us to tell a story? And the interesting thing about that is after we learned that we weren't allowed to use John Constantine as the character for Legends of Tomorrow. And I thought that the time for me on that show was over. And Phil Klemmer called me and we talked, and he said, we'd love you to stay. I was like, how does that work? He's like, well, just make a character. We'll come up with something, but we love you. And doing like a character that was so opposite to John Constantine in Gwyn Davies was such a wonderful experience, you know. But what we talked about when we were creating that character is not what do I want to play, it's like, what does the show need? How do we serve the rest of it? John is someone that he's not going to be in the Wave Rider every day looking at what's going on. He's going to be in the back having a whiskey talking to some demons or some shit, you know. Like, he wasn't forward and active within that. He's there almost reluctantly, and that's the wonderful thing about John. But we wanted a character that was new to this world, even though he was the godfather of time, the guy who created time travel. We wanted someone who was going to be like, oh my God, this is interesting. And so we talked about how do we serve the show. And I think that that's what it all comes down to at the end of the day, is serving the story. What story are you trying to tell? And then you are a component within that, you know? Yeah.
Great question.
Yeah,
Great
really,
question.
really
Thank
cool
you.
question.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks.
Hey,
Hi
Betty.
there.
Yeah, it's easier.
No, yeah, take it off. It's fine.
Patrick, and
Patrick.
between Edward Kenway, who you played in Black Flag, and John Constantine, who's the one that was both easier to get in the mindset of, but also you more resonate with?
But with
One more time. It didn't
Yeah.
pick up very well.
Between Edward Kenway from Assassin's Creed Black Flag and John Constantine,
and Conjob.
yeah, who
Resonate with.
resonate with, but also easier to get into the character of?
Well, what's interesting about Edward Kenway is when I got the audition, it was for a TV pirate show.
Oh.
Yeah, and I was like,
That's a
great.
weird way
So
to
I-
have a TV show.
Yeah. So I did the first meeting, and I was like, great. And they were like, we want to invite you back for a recall, but we got to let you know this isn't a TV pirate show. This is a video game. And I was like, okay, what video game? And they were like, Assassin's Creed. And funny enough, I played the very first Assassin's Creed. So I was like, oh, great, that's really cool. But the character of Edward Kenway was originally from the north of England. So it's a completely different accent to me, like, you know? So I did the accent, and I got the job, and all this stuff. And then when I flew over to Montreal to do the motion capture, they were like, oh, you sound different. That's weird.
Well,
Yeah. I
I'm
was
from
like,
Wales.
"Well, yeah, it's called acting." And they said, well, where are you from? I said, from Wales. I'm from Swansea in Wales. And they said, well, is that on the sea? And I said, yes, it is. It's a port also. They said, well, let's make the character from Swansea. I was like, a lot of
added
people
my
don't even know where
flavor.
Wales is, let alone like my hometown. Do you know what I mean? So that was really cool. They made the character from where I was from. And, you know, his story of leaving Wales, going to Bristol. The funny thing about that as well, is I left Wales to go to Bristol to go to drama school. He left Wales to go to Bristol because that's where all the ships and all that stuff was happening. But there's a strange mirroring that happened with that, which was great. So a lot of Edward Kenway is very close to me in that way. John is John, right? You know, like you got to meet John somewhere because, like, you know, when you do roles, people say like you've got to find like that role within yourself. It's like, yeah, I don't really want to find my inner John and Constantine. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to summon that too much. But I love them both dearly. The fact that they're both blonde makes me laugh hilariously. You know, but I love both of the characters. They're similar in lots of ways. Their wit and their humor and their sarcasm. And that's not just because they're both British. It's because it's a mechanism, a psychological mechanism that they use to be able to cope. And I always think the humor is the best way to get through anything anyway, you know, psychologically. So I don't know which one resonates the most. I think for different reasons, they resonate in different ways. But I love them both dearly. It'll be interesting to see if they met.
Who would win in a fight?
Johnny.
Yeah, I agree.
John's like, you know, people say like, oh, Doctor Strange or John Constantine. John Constantine. Because he'll do whatever
He'll
it
fight
takes.
dirty.
He's dirty, yeah. He's a trickster, you know. So yeah, and Kenway would be good, but Johnny would just be like, I like this guy. I think they get on, and they probably drink some rum together, you know. Yeah.
Great question.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Cool.
Not
good
a lot
stuff.
of people know that with Edward Kenway, you not only voiced it, but you did motion capture for it.
Yeah, that's right. It was one of the. It was when motion capture was first starting, and I remember actually like when I flew to Montreal and they fitted me with a suit and the helmet. You got this camera in your face. It takes a bit of getting used to because you know you're trying to look at the other actor and you're like, but also the camera has to stay still. So in order to do that, they have to make the helmet really tight, and they have this like this thing that they would twist, and I'm like, oh shit, that's a bit tough. And then after about like 3 hours, I'd be like, okay, I got a proper migraine, and it took a little bit of time getting used to it and stuff. But I loved that process. It was a really fun thing to do. Yeah, hope to get to do more of it.
Did they ask you to do a lot of stunt work, or were you mainly performance acting?
Mainly performance for the cutscenes. Like they have a bunch of like people who are much better than me with a sword. Although I'm pretty good with the sword.
Everybody deserves a little bit of a paycheck. You were just giving somebody
Yeah.
else a paycheck.
Yeah,
You could have done it.
I could have done it. Well,
could have
I would
done
have liked to have done it. No, but those guys are awesome as well. I got to say, like for stunt guys in the industry, I mean, like they are the most coolest, gracious people. My stunt guy on I was going to swear, sorry. My stunt guy in Legends of Tomorrow, man, he took some hits, man. He took some hits, and he became one of my really good friends. You know, like really, really cool. And yeah,
When you're stuck in like a trailer or a tent for so long together, you have to become close with those people, right?
yeah. And the funny thing is like a lot of people like because the schedule is so busy, you know, you do your bit, and then you know people go away, and then the stunt man. I would always stay. I'd stay and watch him. I'm like, this guy's like making me look good. He's like taking a big blow. Like, I ain't going back to my trailer. I'm going to be here right there watching
Paying
him.
respects.
Yeah. And his name was Matt as well. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, Matt
awesome.
Melia, yeah. Great guy.
Shout out to Matt.
Yeah, shout out
Thank
to
you.
Matty if anyone's recording or he sees it. thank you for all the hits. What a wonderful human being. And I would always try to make an effort, unless there was like, you know, some kind of cross scheduling or something, I would always make the effort to be there. I'm like, this guy's about to be thrown across the room, smashed on the ground, like, I'm gonna be there for him to watch that, you know?
I'll hold his hand if he gets hurt.
Exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, my favorite question to ask any actor that is on the stage is, if you saw yourself as a young actor now, what advice would you give yourself? It's a hard one. Sorry.
Believe, believe, believe.
Yeah.
There's a great little clip of Anthony Hopkins. I don't know if you guys have seen this on Instagram. There's a great little clip of Anthony Hopkins, and he stands there and he says, believe, believe, believe. Doesn't matter if you don't believe it now, you believe it. You believe in believing. That's all you need is belief. Belief, 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 believe. Force it with belief. Believe in yourself. And he has this, you know, he's amazing, you know, like, and that's it. Just believe, 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 you know?
Yeah, that's
And,
good advice.
and fear is your friend.
True.
Get to know it.
Yeah.
Make it your friend. Don't run away from it. If you're scared, that's where you go.
Yeah.
That's where you go. If you're like, oh, that's my direction.
Yeah.
If it's comfortable, But if you're like, oh, that's difficult, run towards it. Fail and fail again.
Yeah. Anything exciting is going to be scary.
Totally.
Yeah.
And especially if you want something, right? If you want something, then you're going to have fear towards it
Put
because
yourself out there.
you fear of failure. But your relationship to fear and failure, if you can like make that a positive, oh, I'm scared, that means it's good. If you can rewire yourself to do that, or, oh my God, I'm failing, good, right, how can I learn, how can I grow? That's growth. I love the analogy of the lobster. You know, when a lobster needs to grow, it goes under a rock and it cracks its shell. All of its shell cracks, and then the membrane of the lobster slips out of the shell and is vulnerable from all the predators around. And it hides under a rock until its new shell grows. But it has to break itself to grow. So pain, fear, all of those things, it's growth. So, you know, I love that.
I really love that too. I'm going to carry that with me forever.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you
the
so
lobsters
much. I
is-
really
is-
appreciate that. And thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
This was a lovely time. Can we
Yeah.
please get one more round of applause for Matt
Thank
Ryan,
you, guys. And can I say
everyone?
thank you all for staying on a Sunday
Yes.
night? And it's been a real pleasure. You're all awesome. And thank you for being here.
Thank you all.
With
I
grace
think
and grit and love.
we're going to do a quick stage selfie real quick, I
Yeah?
think. Real quick. If everybody would like, please